Welcome to ABTV.
And in this world I fear and hate, stand tall, don't wait too late.
Join me, Ali Beg, for the best pre-game build-up, halftime analysis and all the post-match reaction from all Aberdeen games. Look out for exclusive one-on-one video interviews with Aberdeen players past and present and major names from world football as I chat to an Aberdeen icon. Delighted to say joining me today is Eric Black.
I'm still hoping that you're still staking claim for that chant, yeah?
It's brought a lot of smiles to people's faces. You know, it's a catchy tune.
Every Monday, I look back on the weekend's game with key journalists, but more importantly, you the fans. If history is your thing, I endeavour to dedicate special programmes celebrating key dates from the Aberdeen Football Club calendar.
The Aberdeen against Bayern Munich game from the first leg, Cup Winners' Cup quarter-final, which was played on the 2nd of March 1983. So this is the main part of the away team dressing room, and this is where Alex Ferguson gave the boys his final instructions before they went out onto the park. Those instructions were quite simple. It included getting early balls into the box, keep Paul Breitner quiet, and show Bayern Munich how good you are. It certainly worked on the night.
All this and so much more only here on ABTV. Today, Aberdeen travel through to Edinburgh to face Hibs at Easter Road. My thanks to Hibs TV for providing me with these pictures for today. A win or even a draw for Jim Goodwin's side will all but secure our Premiership status without having to go through a playoff, mainly thanks to a superior goal difference over St Johnstone. The home side have been struggling of late. We come into this game off the back of a good win against Dundee last week. It's Hibs against Aberdeen. It's a 3 o'clock kickoff at Easter Road a little bit later today. Two other games being played at the bottom. Livingston take on St Johnstone and St Mirren take on Dundee. Both of those games also kicking off, like ours, at 3 o'clock. So this is what it means. There's the bottom of the table. We all know what Aberdeen need to do today. We're only interested in the Dons' result. Good morning. Welcome to ABTV and welcome to the preview show ahead of the Hibs game a little bit later today at Easter Road. Got plenty coming up on the show. Going to be talking to a fan all the way from Tasmania. And on this day, back in 1985, Aberdeen produced one of their greatest ever victories. It didn't come from the first team, it came from the youth team. And I'll be chatting to a member of that team a little bit later. It's a story very much well worth telling, and I really hope you'll enjoy the chat. Okay, we're going to start with Jim Goodwin, the manager. He gave his press conference over the past couple of days. I've picked a couple of quotes to have a look at. It's up to us to give our fans something to cheer about. He had plenty to say about the game. I found this interesting. As a group, we've conceded far too many goals. It's not just down to the goalkeeper and the lads at the back. The fact of the matter is we need to make sure that we're better defensively next season. He had plenty to say about players coming in, players coming out. But ahead of this game, there was another quote that stood out for me. He said, in regards to team news, everybody's great. Today was the first morning, actually, since I've came in, that we've not had anybody in the treatment room, which is hugely important. So a full squad to choose from for today's game. I'll have a little look at the team that I think he'll play a little bit later. Let's see how the newspapers have looked ahead to today's game and over the past few days. I'm sure many of you have seen that former Don Willie Garner joined Aberdeen's board this week. Fantastic news. Willie said, I'm incredibly honoured to join the board. I do believe we're on the right path to delivering the results the club and its fans want to see. I'm very excited to be joining the board at this time and looking forward to contributing to the club's sustainable success. The manager also spoke about the importance of Vicente Becerwin and the one key Aberdeen quality that Jim Goodwin demands as he sets out his transfer blueprint. Vicente is an exciting player. I've spoken long and hard about having big characters at the club, to play for big teams, not just Aberdeen, but to play for any big team out there in the world. You need to have an inner belief and a bit of confidence, and Vinny certainly has got that. He also spoke about Christian Ramirez. Now, I found this particularly interesting because, as we know, we saw these pictures last week. Thank you to Scott Baxter, freelance sports photographer, for allowing me to use these pictures. I think it's safe to say that Christian was really struggling. You could see the frustration when he came off last week. But this is what Jim Goodwin actually said during that press conference. He said Christian is contracted to Aberdeen for another season, and neither him nor his representatives have been in touch with me or anybody else in the football department to tell us that they don't want to be here and they don't want to be part of it, which is good news, positive news coming out of the football club. So let's see what happens there. Okay, as promised, let's get now the fans' view. Now, what's really important for me on ABTV is that you guys feel as much part of this show as I do. So I want you to be interactive with me. If you've got something to say, if you want to have a platform to say it, get in touch and I'll do my very best to get you on. I think it's really important to get the fans' opinions about our football club. So get in touch and I'll get you on. But as I've mentioned before, I only have one rule. No bad language. That's the only rule that I have. Okay, this guy, he's a massive Aberdeen fan. He gets up in the small hours of the morning to watch our club. He travelled all the way to our last Scottish Cup final. Let me introduce you to him when I pre-recorded this interview with him a little bit earlier today.
Absolutely delighted to say, joining me all the way from Tasmania is Ian McDonald, a die-hard Aberdeen fan, and you've got your own Aberdeen-themed pub, is that right, Ian?
I've got my own Aberdeen-themed pub. I live in a little place called Old Beach outside Hobart. So
How long have you been
I've written a name after the Old Beach End, and it's the Old Beach End bar with the King at the back, King Joey.
Fantastic, mate. How long have you been out there, Ian?
20 years. 22 years. I came out here in 2000.
Okay.
And I love it. I mean, Tasmania is a lot like Scotland scenery-wise. It's beautiful.
Do you have any other Aberdeen fans in the area? Do any of them come to your pub, or is this just a solo project?
I've tried to convert a few, but they're into the AFL, which is Australian rules, so they didn't appreciate and understand the beautiful game we watch.
Yeah, I can imagine. Hey, listen, we've got Hibs a little bit later today at Easter Road.
I've got friends in the mainland, Aberdeen supporters, club in Sydney, so we have got a good support in Australia.
Okay, brilliant. I was just saying, we've got Hibs a little bit later this afternoon. What's your thoughts? What's your thinking?
Well, I think we've got nothing to lose. It's been a very disappointing season, to say the least. Lots of changes. I mean, football to me is like a relationship with your partner. You disagree, you agree, but you love it all the same. I think we've got nothing to lose. Just go out with a bit of style. We've got something to prove. I know we're losing a lot, but we're still going to keep some great players like young Connor. And no, I think the next 3 games, just go out with an open mind and just do it. Let's give us something to take out the season.
Brilliant. Hey, Ian, listen, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today.
I do have an answer, and you would have it as well. What we've got to do is what your bad boy Zinc recording. It's called Turn It Around. So let's just turn it around, boys and girls.
Brilliant, mate. Thank you so much. Stand free.
Sorry, my friend.
All right, fella.
Stand free, whatever it ever be. We are the famous Aberdeen. Thank you, Mr. Biggs.
Cheers, mate.
Absolutely brilliant. Really enjoyed chatting to Ian. What a top red he really is. So please get in touch if you want to come on the show. I would absolutely love to get you on. Right, let's have a look at the team that I think Jim Goodwin will start today. Now, the only change that I've made is basically I'm going to drop Marley Watkins out, and I think Ross McCrory will return from suspension. The reason why I've dropped Marley out is because I think it's really important that Christian starts today. We mentioned earlier that his response when he came off, he looked absolutely devastated last week, and I think it's really important for his confidence going forward that he starts today's game. I think he needs to finish the season strongly so that he comes back for pre-season in the right frame of mind. So that's why I'm starting him today. Let's just give you a couple of match stats ahead of the game. Hibs have won 3 of their last 4 league home games against Aberdeen, including both of their last 2. Only Dundee have won fewer away Scottish Premiership points this season than Aberdeen, with the Dons only winning 2 of their last 17 on the road. This is why I was suggesting earlier in the week that it's really important that we finish the season on a high. Here's our previous encounters against Hibs this season. Back in October, we beat them 1-0. Wow, that was a big result. Then in December, we lost 1-0. But our most recent game back in March, we managed to win the game 3-1. Big game today. Let's get the 3 points. It's really important. Come on, lads. Okay, as promised, on this day, back in 1985, Aberdeen faced Celtic in what was the old BP Youth Cup final at Pittodrie. The first team were there because they were getting presented with the championship trophy. Sir Alex Ferguson was also in attendance and hundreds of fans packed out the stadium. To put this into context, Aberdeen were 2-0 down at half-time and then not long after the restart went 3-0 down. They clawed it back, got the game into extra time and won the game 5-3. It was a sensational night of football at Pittodrie. And I'm absolutely delighted to say that I caught up with former Aberdeen trainee Rob McRobb to talk about that specific game. And this is what he had to say.
Right, Rob, it's great to see you. A very good morning to you. Right, let's go back to that sensational evening at Pittodrie. What's your recollections of the build-up to the game?
I think we're fully aware, Ali, that the first team are going to be there, obviously getting presented with the trophy. And if memory serves me right, it was just like the build-up to any other youth game that we'd had. There was nothing special. We obviously went for a pre-match meal down to Pittodrie, and of course the crowds are there to see the first team getting presented with the trophy. So that kind of made it extra special for us and got the nerves jangling, I'm sure. But I think once we're out on the pitch, you know, referee's whistle goes, the crowd's forgotten about, and then you get on with the game.
Who took you that night? Who was in charge of your team that night?
So Willie Garner and Teddy Scott. So Willie had obviously seen us right through the whole round so far. We'd obviously beaten Ayr United in the semi-final, I think it was. We thrashed them 6-1. And then along with Teddy. So the two of them run it. Then obviously the boss was in the background. I can't remember him being at any of the other games. He probably was. But all our other games had been away from home as well. So it was certainly Willie and Teddy who were the main coaches that night.
When you say the boss, of course, we're talking about Sir Alex Ferguson. And there's quite a funny story because at half-time, you guys were 2-0 down. What happened when you were in the dressing room?
Well, it's maybe funny for you if you were watching it on the terrace, Ali. So my recollection, and I've relived this a few times, I actually wore number 6 that night, so Willie Miller's position. And the home dressing room at Pittodrie, it goes round, starting from the keeper, round to number 5. You then had the shower door, or the door through into the shower area. And then you had 6 at the other side of that. So 5 and 6 were either side of the doorway. And I remember Willie and Teddy had started their kind of half-time team talk. And then the door burst open. And I'll say the manager came in and gave us a bit of constructive feedback. So he went round the changing room. And I remember him coming to number 5 and he was quite annoyed. And I thought, oh, well, here goes, because obviously 2-0 down, being a defender with Malky Thompson, centre of defence. And I don't know, I keep saying it to this day, whether I was playing well or not, perhaps not. But the fact that I was wearing Willie's jersey or sitting in Willie's space, it kind of just jumped over me and went on to Stevie Gray, who was number 7. So, yeah, constructive feedback, I would say, the manager, but the door certainly did come off the hinges at one stage, I think.
Just after the restart, you then go 3-0 down.
Yeah.
In your mind, did you think it was over?
Oh, definitely. You know, Celtic at the time were as good as we were. We were, of course, Aberdeen, wanted to win everything, but Celtic had a number of youth players in their team as well, including Derek White, who was their captain, and other players that we'd actually played through the whole, you know, if you think about it, we're playing in the Scotland youth teams, we're playing with these guys, we're training with these guys, and you know how good they are. So, yeah, when you go 3-0 down, you think the back's against the wall and that's it. But never say never. A quick goal in any game and you're back, and then they start to wobble a bit, and we get another couple of goals, and then we're back in it. So, yeah, but 3-0 down, yeah, you're on your way out, I think.
Let's talk about those goals, because Paul Wright got one back for us. Then Jockey Lawrence made it 3-2. And then Joe Miller scored our equaliser to make it 3-3, which took the game into extra time. When Joe scored, I know it's a long time ago and I appreciate that, but can you recall the sort of the feeling, what was going on in your head?
I can't recall, Ali. To this day, I probably can't remember what was happening, but you know, it's elation. You're tired, probably. You know, you've done everything you can to get that game back to 3 each. Joe's obviously got us back into the game 3 each, and we're probably in the ascendancy. You know, their heads are down, and we're looking to push for that 4th goal before the final whistle, but unfortunately it never came, and we moved into extra time. So, and then it's a bit of catch-22. You know, do you push for that 4th goal, or do you sit tight and hope that they don't score a 4th goal, and then you lose it after having scored 3 goals and clawed them back? So I can't remember what was going through my head at that time, but it's probably one of those emotions.
But in extra time, Jockey Lawrence scores 2 more goals, so the game finishes 5-3. It was an absolutely unbelievable comeback. It made the back page headlines the next day as well. What an achievement to come back from 3-0 down to win it 5-3.
Yeah, I certainly remember it making the back pages, but it also made the newsletters. And I don't know if you know the story. There was a fan, an Aberdeen fan, who had left when we were actually being beaten 3-0 and went home, and at that time wrote to the P&J and said, you know, what a disgrace the Aberdeen setup was, the youth academy, or what it was, the youth team at that time, to be trounced 3-0 by Celtic. And the P&J were good enough to actually publish a letter. So the letter was in the paper the following day or the next couple of days. So that was quite funny, but yeah, you know, it was monumental, I think, at the time, for any team to come back from a 3-0 defeat, a 3-0 loss, and then win 5-3 after extra time. It was fantastic.
Okay, I want to just read a quote to you from Sir Alex Ferguson's A Light in the North book, which is obviously his first book that he wrote. And in the acknowledgements, this is what he actually says about you guys winning that game. He said, after the young ones had done their lap of honour, they were met at the dressing room by the most thunderous of welcomes by all the players and staff members. But this is what really resonates with me. It says here, the sight of that unity moved me. It made me realise that my 7 years with the Dons was not the completion of an achievement, but only the start. I now felt compelled and totally motivated to record a period of my life which has given me enormous satisfaction and a sense of accomplishment, a belief that I've done something really worthwhile. So, reading into that, your victory that night inspired that book.
Yeah, and I still
Not bad, eh?
I still recall the welcome, Ali, that we got at that changing room door. You know, every member of the first team who'd obviously been there earlier to receive the trophy was still there to watch us win us and congratulate us as we come in. The boss obviously gave his well done speech at the end, and then the chairman, Mr. Donald, came in and said a few words as well and thanked us for putting on a performance at Pittodrie. So yeah, very emotional. But as far as I recall, we were back in training the following day.
Really? Of course you were.
None of this, you know, cool down days or whatever they call it nowadays. We were back into multi-gym and doing whatever weights we had to do to get our muscles back in shape for probably a game on a Saturday. So, yeah. You know, but great days.
Brilliant. Last question. Do you still have your medal?
I do have my medal. My dad's got all my medals. Well, I'm saying all my medals, it sounds extravagant, and I've got numerous. I've got a number of medals. Dad's got them all, along with all my jerseys for Scotland and any jerseys that I've swapped with opponents. So, yeah, Dad keeps them all. So I don't have any here at all, other than probably one or two of my Scotland jerseys that I've probably tried on over the years that go nowhere near me now.
Brilliant. Hey, Rob, listen, thank you so much. Absolutely fantastic to reminisce about that great game. Thank you. Enjoy your day.
Thank you very much. Thank you, and
My thanks to Rob McRob, who was a great player back in his day, and delighted to say that he's still heavily involved with Aberdeen Football Club, coaching the youngsters through the academy today as well. Rob, thank you so much for giving us the time to talk to us today about that fantastic game. Now, if you're just joining us on ABTV for the first time, just let me tell you a little bit about what my plans are. Now, history plays a huge role for me. I love to talk about the club's history. I love to reminisce about days gone by. I will be doing my best to bring you interesting conversations with guys who have played a huge role throughout Aberdeen Football Club's history. Social media is important. We'll always react to what goes on online. It's particularly important to get your views across on here, which I've said to you many times before. So looking forward to doing that. On a Monday night, we're actually going to be talking to key journalists to look back on the weekend's games and get it from a journalistic point of view. Now, at this point in proceedings, I just want to very quickly thank my long-term partner, Saltire Energy, who have been with me on this project from day one. Their support has been absolutely incredible, and I'm very grateful to Mike Logie and to Craig Cameron, who have been with me from day one. And recently, we took on a new sponsor, Lux Scott, who are a jet-class luxury vehicle company, and this is what they do. If you're looking to go somewhere in style, drop the guys a note. You can catch them on Instagram, they're on LinkedIn, and there's their telephone number. The jet class luxury vehicle really is astonishing. I've had a trip in it myself. It's just luxury personified. So if you're going for a special game of golf, an event, a wedding, or even if you want to travel somewhere in style, drop the guys a note. My thanks to Alan Findlater and all the guys there for their support with this brand new project. It really means a great deal. Right, to finish off, there was a couple of stories that caught my attention in the past few days. This one in particular I thought was magnificent. Aberdeen fan completes 19-year unique adventure to secure the signatures of each Gothenburg great. I think this is an astonishing story. I remember years and years ago, for my brother's 30th, I was actually able to get all the members of the Gothenburg team to sign a shirt like the one that David has there. And my brother now has that, and he was absolutely made up. So well done, David. That is absolutely brilliant, and a fantastic story as well from Sophie Goodwin at the Press and Journal. And here's another story that caught my attention this week from the Scotsman, Joel Sked. Aberdeen strengthen close ties with Italian giants and could aid recruitment. And we're talking about Juventus. Just let me tell you a little bit more. The club's director of football, Stephen Gunn, visited the Sierra A side earlier this month to build on those ties alongside clubs from around Europe and America. As part of the visit, the delegation met with the club's management and took in the Old Ladies' 2-1 success over Venezia, as well as the under-23 side Serie A playoff match. So I guess what we have to do here is just watch this space. But that could potentially be a very interesting tie-in for the football club. Okay, we are done. Thank you so much for watching today. I'll see you again on Monday night for the review show where we look back on today's game against Hibs. So all that's basically left to say is, come on lads, let's do it today. Get the 3 points, and St Johnstone next at McDermott Park on Gothenburg Day. Enjoy the rest of your day. See you soon.